President Best, it's really privileged to be here with you in Belém during COP30, COP of Adaptation and Resilience. I'm really honored to have this conversation with you, representing a region that totally understands the need to be resilient. As negotiations are underway here in the Amazon, we are reminded that the climate crisis connects regions. The Caribbean and the Amazon both sits in the front line of climate change. President Best, with the world gathered in Belém right now, what does this COP mean for the Caribbean, and what outcomes are most critical for your member states?
Yeah. Well, first, Musab, I want to thank you. I want to thank the OPEC Fund for having me here, and of course for CAF-TV for giving us the opportunity to reach out. Look, COP30, as you said, focuses on adaptation and resilience. And so this is a pivotal COP for the Caribbean. For small island developing states, which constitute our borrowing member countries, resilience is, this moment is urgent. It allows us to amplify our voices to reach the world. This is not theoretical for us. This is our life, this is our livelihood. It is not a distant goal. This is where we are living, what we are living through at this time. The roadmap to Belém called for financing in the amount of approximately $1.3 trillion. What small island developing states are looking for this COP to deliver is action. We've heard a lot of talk. We have heard a lot of promises. There's been a lot of pledging, but we now need to move to delivering financing that is predictable, that is accessible, that is affordable, and that will make a difference in the lives and livelihoods of the people within the Caribbean and in small island developing states. Beyond funding also, from this COP, we need to prioritize equity and justice, including mechanisms that respond to loss and damage, simplified access to resources for rebuilding, for building resilience at the community level. And so I have to use this opportunity, Musab, to state that donor countries need to significantly increase their contributions to the fund for responding to loss and damage. This is critical to address the severe losses and damage incurred by vulnerable countries. Look, loss and damage is permanent, it is irreversible, and it is profoundly unjust. And I'll close my opening intervention with this. If you remember nothing else from this fireside chat, Musab, remember 558. 558. 5 category 5 hurricanes in 8 years. This is the reality of the Caribbean. So when I say this isn't theoretical or this isn't some distant goal, this is what we're living. We've experienced, and you count them with me, Maria, Irma, Dorian, Beryl, and we've all seen the pictures from Melissa just 2 weeks ago. This is our reality. The current contribution to the Fund for Loss and Damage, the contributions are inadequate to respond at a scale that will make a material impact on what is happening and the trajectory of our regions. So to answer your question, therefore, COP30 must deliver clear, concrete commitments to empower us to act. And the financing needs to get to our countries quickly. Time is running out. Every hurricane season that passes through the Caribbean, we don't just lose infrastructure. we lose loved ones, we lose friends, we lose family. These things can't be rebuilt. The money is urgent, action is urgent, and the time is now. And this is what we are looking for this COP to deliver for our people.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think no one said it better than you. You put everything in place.
Thank you.
So, Mr. President, at the OPEC Fund, we see deep alignment between the Amazon and the Caribbean priorities. Expanding climate resilience infrastructure, strengthening early warning systems, protecting nature, and ensuring that finance flows quickly to the people who need it most.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how is the CDB helping countries strengthen resilience on the ground?
Thank you. At the Caribbean Development Bank, we are seeking to deliver development resources, climate financing to the people that matter most at the community level across our board member countries. We are the catalyst for climate finance. And when I say the catalyst, I mean we are still the sole indigenous multilateral financing institution in the Caribbean. So our responsibility is to ensure that we catalyze concessional resources to the Caribbean. So how have we gone about that? Earlier this year, we've increased our accreditation limit to the Green Climate Fund from $50 to $250 million. And just last month, a month and a half ago, we got our very first approval from the GCF looking at early warning systems in Belize. So we need to scale. So now we have access to a wider pool of resources through the GCF. Also, with the replenishment of our Special Development Fund early this year, the contributors to our fund made what would be a record replenishment up to $460 million. That's a record for the CDB. And we have committed that within those resources, 40% of the funds in our concessional window, our Special Development Fund, will be directed towards climate action, adaptation and mitigation. And 35% of our overall corporate financing will go towards climate financing. But also, we are working as we speak with CAF and with the Inter-American Development Bank to develop the first ever regional debt swap facility. And as you know, with these debt swaps, they're fabulously complex. The region has done about 3 thus far, but this will be the very first, globally, the very first regional debt swap, where we together will work with the countries in the Caribbean to determine how we can exchange some of their debt for cheaper resources, with the condition, of course, that the savings go towards climate actions or resilience building, whether it is the environmental, social, health, countries will decide. But this is the level of innovation that we're embarking on. Also, we are working with the Green Climate Fund and our member countries in the Caribbean to utilize some of their readiness facilities allocations with the GCF to bring them into a pool. So we're creating a regional readiness platform. And 6 countries have committed their readiness resources thus far. And what that means is these resources, once coming into the pool, can now be scaled to do development work, to do climate, to deliver climate solutions within the just energy transition, within sustainable transport, essentially delivering financing at scale for our board member countries. So these are the kind of things that we are doing within the gamut of providing climate financing. We can't afford to sit back. I want to share one final example with you, just in terms of how we have to, within the region, innovate without doing harm to our board member countries, whether it's in terms of the physical harm of projects or harm in terms of the debt. And this is why the concessional financing is so important. In St. Kitts and Nevis, we are seeking to explore the geothermal potential of Nevis. And within that project, we have come up with an innovative financing solution called a contingent recoverable grant. And within that, we provide financing to the government of St. Kitts Nevis to do the exploration work for geothermal. Once the resource is proven, the financing provided, which right now is a grant, converts into a loan because then they can repay us from the sale of the energy from geothermal. If the resource is not proven, and we believe it will be. But if it is not proven, it remains a grant. So in other words, we are developing the sustainable energy potential of St. Kitts and Nevis together with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis without impairing the debt overhang of the country. This is where we are as a bank. I'd like to add that between 2020 and 2024, we have provided financing to for approximately $300 million in sustainable transport initiatives, building resilient road infrastructure. At the community level, Musab, we have provided training to approximately 3,300 stakeholders in areas of capacity building and productivity enhancement. Of those, 1,044 were women. And in total, about 3,000 of them, of that 3,300, were small farmers. And we provided training in climate resilient agriculture, in disaster response, and in capacity building in terms of crop yield. What does that mean? It means that at the community level, our people are becoming more resilient. Imagine what we could do if we were to scale that concessional financing and reach more people.
True, Mr. President. Impressive.
Thank you.
That's the example of adaptation and resilience, which is the title of this COP.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. President, the Caribbean's leadership in the blue economy, coastal resilience, and nature-based solution, as you mentioned, is a model for other regions. So, as the Amazon advances green-blue infrastructure solutions, there is an enormous opportunities for cross-regional learning and partnership between those two regions. As I mentioned earlier,
absolutely,
they face similar climate crisis, and they go similar and different type of climate issues. So finally, as we look beyond this week, Mr. President, how do you see cooperation between institutions and regions, Amazon, Caribbean, and other, strengthening the global resilience agenda?
This is an excellent question, and I'm happy that you posed it in that matter. As we look beyond this week, COPs come and go, people still have to live. Global resilience demands connectivity, cooperation, and collective action. The 3 C's: connectivity, cooperation, collective action. The Amazon and the Caribbean serve as vital ecological and social systems, with both regions facing severe adverse weather impacts. And I think there is therefore a lot that we can learn together. And this brings me then to the matter of partnership. I am very pleased that on the margins of the recently concluded World Bank IMF annual meeting, that I had the pleasure of signing with your president a memorandum of understanding between the Caribbean Development Bank and the OPEC Fund. And it focuses on climate adaptation. It focuses on infrastructure resilience, energy security. It focuses on private sector development, essentially creating opportunities for the private sector to play their role in the development paradigm of our countries. But the real magic happens in the cooperation. The real magic happens in the partnership, in realizing that as regional development banks, we can't do it alone. However, together between the Caribbean Development Bank and the OPEC Fund, we can scale. We can learn from each other's expertise, and level of financing that we have available to deliver to these regions. Similarly, in June of this year, we signed, Caribbean Development Bank signed a memorandum of understanding with CAF, delivering similar things, looking at social resilience platforms, looking at infrastructure resilience, looking at environmental resilience. You know, when we speak, therefore, about adaptation and resilience, I want us to consider that this is a tripartite approach. There's environmental resilience, there's economic resilience, and there's social resilience. One without the other will not work. Attempting to deliver social solutions that are not economically viable will not reach everyone they're intended to reach. Attempting to design economically resilient solutions that aren't environmentally friendly, we see what has happened. 558. They will not stand up to the test of the climate within our region. So this is why I say, when we consider adaptation and resilience, the scale of response far outweighs what any one multilateral can do. And so under my presidency already for this year, we have signed 2 memorandums of understanding. We have also undertook the first ever exposure exchange agreement with between non-AAA rated entities, between the CDB and CABE. And CABE also did it with CAF. So we have 3 non-AAA rated entities that have engaged in exposure exchange agreements. Now, what does that mean in simple terms for our people? It means that we have now, by exchanging our exposure, we have created headroom that would allow for more lending, allow for the delivery of more financing to projects that matter and that are needed to the people of our various regions. And this is what we are called to do. This is why we are in these seats at this time. And so while we're here at COP, we, the Caribbean Development Bank, the OPEC Fund, CAF, we have to let our voices be heard, because we are not here on our own volition, Musab. We are here representing the peoples of our region. They have sent us here with a charge. Musab, I want to close with this. Last week, I visited Jamaica in the aftermath of the passage of Hurricane Melissa, the 5th of the Category 5 hurricanes in 8 years. What I saw, I was not prepared for. And I have been in post-disaster zones before. What Melissa did to the west of Jamaica is unprecedented. But unfortunately, it may be our new reality. How do we treat with the urgency it deserves? The people living in the west of Jamaica, the people living in the Family Islands in Bahamas, the people who were impacted by Maria in Dominica, the people who were impacted by Irma in the British Virgin Islands, they are counting on us to step up for them. They're counting on us to mobilize these resources. They need to be affordable, they need to be accessible, and they need to come now. We can't expect our countries to be in a constant rebuilding cycle by incurring more debt. It is a downward spiral that we will never be able to recover from. COP30 has to deliver on the promise of a better world for our people. A world where adaptation is central and where resilience meets everyone. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And I will always remember your 3 C's,
Yes.
which are communicate,
Yeah.
Collab-
Yeah. And connectivity. Absolutely.
That's a great message that we need to take with us to make sure that between us, the multilateral development institutions, more collaboration, so we do not replicate effort. And again, I'll congratulate you on the exposure exchange agreement that you did this year, which is a remarkable step, creating more room, utilizing your balance sheet for the member state. But thank you, Mr. President, and it's inspiring to have this exchange during COP30, surrounded by global momentum, together from the Caribbean to the Amazon. We can ensure that this COP of adaptation and resilience delivers not just commitments, but lasting impact for people, nature, and the planet.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr.
Musab, I thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.